It was a busy, tense day at the United Nations General Assembly. The Grand Hall was filled with the world's most powerful leaders, policymakers, diplomats, and media outlets. The agenda was heavy. Urgent global issues like food security, climate change, and international cooperation were at the forefront. Nations had come with expectations, proposals, and sometimes hidden agendas. As discussions dragged on, a new energy swept through the hall when the moderator announced the next speaker, President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. Wearing his signature traditional African attire, with a calm but firm presence, Traoré stepped up to the podium. His steady eyes swept across the crowd before he spoke into the microphone, his voice clear and resolute. "Today," he began, "I do not just stand here as the leader of Burkina Faso. I stand as a voice for a new Africa, an Africa that seeks partnership based on respect, not dependency, on dignity, not pity." A ripple moved through the audience as his words hit the heart of the matter. He continued, "In Burkina Faso, we have launched an initiative that goes beyond mere development. It is a bold vision to redefine the future of African nations, not as perpetual receivers of aid, but as contributors to global prosperity. We are not here to beg. We are here to build." The room grew quiet, all ears on the young president who spoke not with arrogance, but with undeniable authority. President Ibrahim Traoré took a deep breath and leaned closer to the microphone, his voice firm but calm. "For decades," he said, "many African countries have depended heavily on foreign aid programs to ensure food security. Among these, the USAID program has been praised as crucial." He paused, letting the silence settle over the room, eyes from every corner of the globe fixed on him. "But I ask you today, after all these years, after billions of dollars spent, has it truly helped Africa? Has it made us stronger, or has it quietly kept us in cycles of dependency?" A stir passed through the assembly. Some shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some leaned forward, eager to hear more. Traoré's face was strong but not confrontational. He spoke like a leader determined to awaken the conscience of the world, not insult it. "Burkina Faso has chosen a different path," he declared. "Through the strength of our people, the wisdom of our farmers, and the spirit of self-reliance, we have built a national agricultural initiative that has not only fed our own people but has created a surplus. And today, I am proud to announce that in the coming months, Burkina Faso will begin supplying high-quality rice to every West African country that desires it, freely, fairly, and in the spirit of true brotherhood." Gasps and murmurs swept the room. Even the press section sat up straight, fingers rushing across keyboards. "This initiative," Traoré continued, "is not about replacing one form of control with another. It is about Africans helping Africans. It is about breaking free from the belief that salvation must always come from outside. It is about saying we can feed ourselves, we can stand, and we can thrive." He then looked directly at the sections where the representatives of the United States and France were seated. "Burkina Faso respects all nations. We welcome partnerships built on respect. But we will no longer accept the mindset that Africa's future must be managed by foreign hands." There was a silence that seemed to stretch endlessly, a silence full of awe, discomfort, admiration, and challenge. After President Ibrahim Traoré finished his powerful speech at the United Nations, the Grand Hall stood still for a moment, then erupted into a roaring ovation. Delegates from all over Africa, parts of Asia, and even South America stood clapping, some cheering. The message was clear. Africa was ready to chart its own destiny. News cameras flashed, journalists typed quickly, and within minutes headlines started to spread. "Traoré declares African independence from Western aid. Burkina Faso to supply rice across West Africa. A new era begins." But in the special seating area reserved for heads of state, President Donald Trump, the sitting president of the United States, sat motionless. His face hardened as he listened to the echoes of applause filling the air. He didn't clap. He simply watched Traoré descend from the podium, shaking hands with leaders who rushed to greet him. Later that evening, back in Washington at the White House, Trump stormed into the Situation Room, visibly agitated. His senior advisors sat, waiting. He slammed his hand on the table and pointed at the giant screen replaying Traoré's speech. "Who does this young man think he is?" Trump thundered. "Saying he's replacing what America has been doing for decades? Replacing USAID? Replacing the food programs we put our money into?" His chief of staff tried to calm him. "Mr. President, Traoré's movement is bigger than Burkina Faso. He's rallying Africa toward economic independence. His agricultural success is giving him real influence across West Africa. Another advisor added cautiously, "Sir, it's not just about food. It's about pride. It's about African nations refusing to be treated as dependent anymore." Traoré's message is resonating heavily, not just in Africa, but among activists and young people worldwide. Trump narrowed his eyes. "So you're telling me he's trying to lead a rebellion against the West, using rice?" The room was silent. "This is serious," said his national security advisor. "If Traoré's model spreads, it could permanently shrink American influence in Africa. Aid programs are one of our soft power tools." Trump leaned back in his chair, tapping his fingers on the table. For the first time that day, he wasn't angry. He was thoughtful. He realized that Ibrahim Traoré wasn't just a young African president. He was a symbol of a new Africa that wasn't asking for help anymore but standing tall. "We need a new strategy," Trump finally said, "or we're going to lose Africa for good." Soon after President Ibrahim Traoré's historic speech at the United Nations, the international media machine roared to life. Top newspapers, TV stations, and magazines, from New York to Paris to London, began flooding the airwaves with headlines. Can Burkina Faso really feed West Africa? Experts warn Traoré's dream could lead to famine. Is Africa ready to stand without Western aid? Pundits debated aggressively on live television. Economic analysts pointed at charts and statistics, claiming that Burkina Faso's agriculture was too small, too fragile, too risky to support such a bold move. One American news channel ran a headline all day: "Traoré's gamble, risking millions for pride?" Documentaries were quickly produced showing dry fields, struggling farmers, and warning of a humanitarian crisis if Africa rejected USAID and foreign assistance. Social media bots amplified the fear, posting dramatic predictions of disaster, hunger, and collapse. But in Ouagadougou, President Traoré watched the media circus with calm eyes. Sitting in his simple office, dressed in his traditional military khaki, he glanced at the reports piling up on his desk. His secretary, Fatou, approached hesitantly. "Sir, should we issue a formal response?" Traoré shook his head. "No. Let them talk." He stood up, walking toward the window, gazing over the bustling capital below. The markets, the farmers, the workers. "Our future isn't written by foreign newspapers," he said quietly. "Our destiny is not controlled by think tanks and consultants in New York. We are writing a new story with our own hands, our own soil, our own sweat." He turned to Fatou, his eyes burning with conviction. "Tell the media, we are not begging. We are building." The decision was final. There would be no retreat, no second guessing, no crawling back for aid. Back in Washington, President Trump grew restless. So he asked the media to fix a press conference. President Donald Trump stands behind the White House podium, flanked by American flags. Cameras flash. "I've been watching what's going on in Africa," Trump says. Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, he gave a strong speech, very strong. He wants to end foreign aid. That's okay. I actually agree, Africa should be strong. He pauses, then adds with a pointed smile. "But let me tell you something, feeding a continent is not as easy as giving a speech at the United Nations. It's about logistics, resources, partnerships, real strategy." Reporters scribble as he continues. "Today, I'm announcing the Hunger Freedom Pact, a new U.S. initiative to partner with Africa in feeding its people. We're offering our technology, transportation, storage, everything. And if President Traoré thinks Burkina Faso can do it all alone, I challenge him. Let his program stand the test of time." After his historic UN speech and Trump's press challenge, Traoré knew what came next would either validate or crush the dream of African food independence. He met with his agricultural ministers, local cooperatives, and regional transport leaders the very next morning. "This is no longer a vision," he said. "It's execution time. West Africa will feed West Africa, and we will begin with rice." In the early months of the initiative, Traoré left the capital and went village by village, sitting on woven mats with local elders and listening to farmers speak in their native tongues. At one stop, an old farmer told him, "We have the land. We have the sun. What we lack is the trust and the tools." That night, Traoré didn't sleep. The next morning, he summoned his cabinet and unveiled Operation Grain Shield. Its core idea was simple but bold. Empower every local government to grow rice, not just for themselves but for the entire region. Traoré set up rural town halls across all 45 provinces. He met with rice growers, women cooperatives, and youth farming groups. He told them, "You will not just be farmers. You will be the soldiers in our war for dignity." They responded with chants. No more hunger. No more handouts. Traoré invited experts from Ghana, Ethiopia, and Kenya, nations with success in local agriculture, to train Burkinabe engineers. Then he signed contracts to buy irrigation machines, solar-powered water pumps, seed analyzers, and harvesters from local African manufacturers instead of foreign ones. Every local government area received equipment and a trained team. Instead of foreign loans, Traoré redirected military spending and international travel budgets to seed the National Agricultural Empowerment Fund. Through it, he gave zero-interest loans and free seeds to thousands of farming families. Each farmer was allowed to register under a local cooperative that would handle storage, transportation, and market price negotiation, giving them real ownership in the food chain. To build faith, Traoré visited each region personally after every harvest. In just 4 months now, Burkina Faso doubled its rice production. The local silos overflowed. Farmers earned more. Markets stabilized. And most importantly, hope returned to the villages. The people didn't just farm rice. They farmed freedom. After months of relentless groundwork, President Ibrahim Traoré stood at the center of a massive operations board inside the newly refurbished National Agriculture Command Center in Ouagadougou. All over the map, red pins marked rice silos, cooperative centers, and transport routes. Now was the time for action, to turn grain into diplomacy. Traoré tasked his team with creating what they called the Green Route, a secure, efficient transport network that would move rice from production zones in Burkina Faso to distribution points in Mali and Niger. He partnered with local transport unions, hired young graduates as logistic coordinators, and even recruited motorcycle riders in remote areas to carry rice samples for quality checks. He told them, "No grain shall rot and no border shall break us." At major border towns like Dori, Bobo de Lasso, and Fata Ngourma, Traoré ordered the construction of modular storage hubs with solar power, digital tracking, and humidity controls to prevent post-harvest loss. This was the backbone of the export mission. Every bag was labeled with Burkina Faso, grown by the people, for the people. Over 200 trucks painted in the colors of the Pan-African flag began the historic journey toward Niamey, Niger, and Bamako, Mali. Burkina Faso was not just exporting food, it was exporting hope. When the trucks reached Mali, President Assimi Goïta himself received them. He said in his speech, "We have waited for many years for this moment. Finally, food not tied to foreign strings. Burkina Faso has shown us the way." In months now, the program has attracted international attention. Both humanitarian and environmental organizations praised the initiative, enlightening that it a model for sustainable development, and even initial critics have commended the policies of President Ibrahim Traoré. Despite the global media buzz surrounding Burkina Faso's rice revolution, President Donald Trump, now in his second term, wasn't convinced. Sitting in the Oval Office, watching the rice convoys on his screen, he frowned and muttered, "Everyone's clapping for this Traoré guy. I want to see it myself." Against the advice of some of his top aides, Trump ordered a presidential visit to Ouagadougou. The skies over Burkina Faso rippled with anticipation. News had spread like wildfire. President Donald Trump was coming. Not for a summit. Not for a UN mission. But for one reason, to see with his own eyes the Burkina Faso rice miracle under President Ibrahim Traoré. Trump's arrival was greeted with a blend of curiosity, security, and a crowd of jubilant locals waving flags and holding signs in French and English that read, "Africa can feed itself. Rice not aid. Burkina Faso leads Africa." But Trump didn't smile. As he stepped down from Air Force One in a Navy suit under the hot Sahel sun, he whispered to one of his aides, "Let's find out what's really going on here." President Ibrahim Traoré, dressed in his military khaki, welcomed Trump personally. He extended his hand and said warmly, "Welcome to the new Africa, Mr. President. We are honored." Trump shook it firmly. "I came because I don't believe everything I see on TV." They both chuckled, a sign of mutual respect. Traoré took Trump on a convoy through the countryside to Kédougou, one of the strategic agricultural development zones. But it wasn't what Trump expected. Gone were the images of dusty dry fields. Instead, he found huge stretches of land neatly divided into sectors, buzzing with activity and powered by solar mini-grids. Drones hovered above, spraying water and fertilizer with precision. Farmers held digital tablets, monitoring soil health, irrigation schedules, and crop data in real time. "This is Burkina Faso?" Trump asked, stunned. "This is African innovation," Traoré replied. They walked into the Smart Farming Control Center, A glass-paneled building with air conditioning, powered completely by renewable energy. Inside, young engineers, many under 30, sat before wide screens showing live drone feeds from 50 farms, satellite weather monitoring, AI-based yield predictions, blockchain-based rice distribution tracking across borders. One engineer showed Trump a digital dashboard. This tells us how much rice every village needs, what's in surplus, and what can be exported to Mali, Niger, and beyond. It's fully automated. Trump blinked. You built all this here? Traoré smiled. With the right tools, Africans don't wait to be saved. We build. Next stop was the mega grain silo complex, funded with regional capital and managed by a women-led cooperative. Robotic loaders moved sack after sack of polished rice onto electric trucks. A large screen displayed routes, Ouagadougou to Niamey to Bamako to Freetown. Trump turned to his advisors, visibly rattled. He's actually exporting. We're watching it happen. An elderly farmer approached Trump, holding a single grain of rice. Tell America, she said in slow English, this is what respect tastes like. At the presidential palace in Ouagadougou, journalists from CNN, Al Jazeera, BBC, and local outlets packed the room. Trump took the podium, paused, and then said, I didn't come here to be impressed. But I was. President Traoré is doing something bold. He's proving Africa doesn't need endless aid. It needs partnership, innovation, and belief. Then he turned slightly serious. I still believe in American leadership. But maybe the way we help has to change. I'm offering a new partnership, one where America collaborates, not controls. Let's end hunger together, with Africa in the lead. Traoré took the podium next. Mr. President, we welcome true partnership. But understand this, we are no longer beggars. Africa is rising. Not against the world, but for its people. Applause thundered through the hall. On the flight back to the US, Trump sat in silence, replaying drone footage of Burkina Faso's farms. His mind raced, not with political spin but reflection. We thought they needed us. Maybe, we need to watch them.